So picture this, a Facebook product manager and his college roommate from Penn. They're sitting in San Francisco in 2017, watching the entire crypto market explode, and they notice something nobody else does. Every advisor, every wealth manager, every family office, they have no way to actually use this stuff. 9 years later, that same Facebook PM just took a blockchain built by Wall Street banks and listed it on Frankfurt's biggest exchange. No wallet, no exchange account, just a ticker. Yeah, we need to talk about this one. So this story actually starts at the University of Pennsylvania. Hunter Horsley graduates from Wharton with an economics degree, and his classmate, Hong Kim, graduates from Penn's computer science program in 2016. Now, Hunter's already had a pretty wild path by then. He starts in marketing operations at an ed tech company called Lore, and then in 2015, he lands at Facebook as a product manager. And here's where it gets interesting. At Facebook, he ships some genuinely big things: branded content, the mid-roll video ad system, even Facebook Save, which grows to over 300 million users. So he understands consumer scale at a level most fintech founders never will. But the bigger insight comes from what he doesn't see being built. Look, by 2016, crypto's growing fast, but it's all being built for day traders and enthusiasts. Nobody's building for the way most people actually own assets, which is through a financial advisor, inside a wrapper like an ETF or an SMA. So in 2017, Hunter co-founds Bitwise with Hong Kim. They launched the Bitwise 10 Crypto Index Fund that November, the first US crypto index fund ever. Fast forward to today, and Bitwise manages over 15 billion in client assets, serves more than 5,000 advisor teams and family offices, and runs offices in San Francisco, New York, London, and now Frankfurt. And that Frankfurt office, that's where this whole story is about to land. So before we get to the product itself, you need to understand what Canton Network actually is. And I'm going to explain it the way someone who's never touched a blockchain can follow. Canton is a public blockchain, but it's built differently from Ethereum or Solana. On most chains, every transaction is visible to every node, which is great for transparency, but a complete non-starter for a bank moving a $500 million treasury trade. Yeah, you can't exactly broadcast that to every validator on Earth. Canton's answer is what they call privacy-enabled architecture. Think of it like a building full of private rooms. Each institution, Goldman, JP Morgan, BNP Paribas, runs their own subnet, their own room, where only invited parties see what's happening inside. And when two rooms need to do business, there's a switchboard called the Global Synchronizer that orders their handshake without ever seeing what's being exchanged. It's like a courier delivering sealed envelopes in the right order without ever opening one. The chain runs on a battle-tested consensus engine, Comet BFT, the same one that powers Cosmos, but adapted for permissioned super validators. There are more than 50 of them right now, including Goldman, BNP Paribas, Deutsche Boerse, DTCC, Visa, Broadridge, and even Bitwise's competitor, 21 Shares. The smart contracts run on a language called DAML, built specifically for multi-party financial workflows. So a bond, a repo, or a derivative behaves the way it actually does under an ISDA agreement, not the way Solidity has to bolt that on after the fact. And the native token, Canton Coin, or CC, has one of the cleanest origin stories in crypto. No pre-mine, no ICO, no VC allocation, no founder reserve. Every CC in circulation today was earned by a validator, an app provider, or a user delivering real network activity. That's actually rare. So that brings us to BWCC, the Bitwise Canton ETP. It listed on May 26, 2026, on Deutsche Boerse Xetra in Frankfurt. The ticker is BWCC. The ISIN, if you're plugging it into your broker, is DE000A4RETH9, and the fee, what's called the total expense ratio, is 0.85% a year. Now, here's what makes this thing different from buying CC on a crypto exchange. Every BWCC unit is fully backed by actual Canton coin held in cold storage. So when you buy a share through your normal European brokerage account, Trade Republic, Scalable, Comdirect, whatever you use, you get one-to-one exposure to the underlying token without ever needing a crypto wallet, a seed phrase, or a Coinbase account. The price BWCC tracks is published by a benchmark provider called Kaiko, and that's actually worth a beat. Kaiko's Canton reference rate uses the London daily fix at 4 p.m. UTC. They pull executed trades from a vetted basket of spot exchanges, update every 5 seconds, and publish the official price once a day. They're also registered under the EU's benchmarks regulation, which is part of what lets Bitwise wrap CC inside a fully compliant European product at all. And the executive steering all of this in Europe is Bradley Duke. He co-founded ETC Group in 2019, ran Europe's first centrally cleared Bitcoin ETP back in 2020, and when Bitwise acquired ETC Group in August of 2024, Duke came over as managing director and head of Europe. So look, BWCC isn't an experiment. It's the product of a team that's been listing crypto on Xetra for 6 years already. All right, honest section. What every viewer should actually know before they click buy. And I want to keep this transparent and constructive because the data is genuinely interesting. So first, the fee picture across the 3 Canton products right now is pretty wild. The US version, 21 shares TCAN on NASDAQ, charges 0.50%, but it's actually fully waived to 0 through October of this year. Bitwise's BWCC on Xetra is 0.85%, and the older 21 shares European product called Canton charges 2.5% on Euronext. Same coin, 3 different fee worlds. And honestly, this is the kind of thing that's healthy for investors. Bitwise just walked into the European market and repriced it by 165 basis points. That's competition working exactly the way it should. The second thing to know is around demand. Some headlines around BWCC's launch flagged doubts about altcoin ETP appetite, and that's partly fair. Bitcoin and Ether still dominate the weekly flow data, but the most recent CoinShares numbers show real institutional rotation into selective altcoins. Solana saw $55 million of inflows in the week before BWCC launched. XRP did $67 million. So the picture is more nuanced than the headline suggests. And third, Canton's validator set is intentionally permissioned. More than 50 institutions secure the network, and yeah, the early CC issuance went heavily to those super validators. But look, that's the feature, not the bug. That's literally what lets a Goldman or a Deutsche Boerse run live workloads on it. A fully permissionless competitor doesn't get those institutions in the door. Okay, so this is the part where it gets exciting, because BWCC isn't the ceiling, it's the on-ramp. There's a lot that's already locked in for the next 6 months. Let's walk through it. First, DTCC. Now, if you don't know DTCC, just understand that they custody more than $30 trillion of US Treasury securities and clear pretty much every American securities trade. In December of 2025, the SEC granted them a formal no-action letter to start tokenizing a subset of those treasuries on Canton. And DTCC has been a super validator on the chain since that same month. The MVP is targeted for the first half of this year, which by definition means the next few weeks or months. Second, governance. There's a Canton improvement proposal called CIP 0116 that just took effect on May 20th. It requires every featured app developer to lock up either 5 million or 25 million CC, depending on whether they're issuing assets. The compliance deadline lands around June 20th, which, if you do the math, is going to take a meaningful chunk of CC off the open market right as BWCC starts buying. Third, AI. Canton's ecosystem already includes an AI copilot that delivers what they call autonomous, context-aware insights. And Moody's, which became the first credit rating agency to run a Canton node in March, just launched their token integration engine, which pipes real-time credit analytics straight into Canton tokens. So we're already seeing AI agents reading on-chain state and proposing actions under privacy and policy constraints. And finally, there's the loop nobody's pointing at. Deutsche Boerse, the exchange that just listed BWCC, is itself a governing institution on Canton through its Clearstream subsidiary. The exchange hosting the wrapper is also helping operate the underlying blockchain. That's not a coincidence. That's strategic alignment. So when you step back and look at this whole picture, here's what it actually is. A Facebook product manager and his Penn CS classmate started a crypto manager 9 years ago because nobody was building for advisors. Today, they manage over $15 billion, and they just took a blockchain built by Wall Street banks and put it inside a German brokerage account with no wallet required. Look, that's the whole story. The advisor-first wrapper just met the bank-first chain, and Europe, for the first time, got it before Wall Street did. If you found this useful, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments whether you think the 0.85% European fee actually matters, or if the no wallet access is the bigger unlock. Either way, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.